Centaurs are iconic. I don't think it's an exaggeration to say that in all of Greek mythology, centaurs are some of the creatures most linked to the myths. If someone has a passing familiarity with the myths, they could likely recognize centaurs, the Hydra, the Cyclops, and Harpies, among others. Centaurs are at least in the top 10. Pop culture likes to portray them as wise, intelligent beings. See Harry Potter, for example. They're sort of like fantasy elves. Wise, magical, closer to nature, and just generally better than humans. This is far from how they were portrayed in the myths, but I'll get to that in a minute. First, let's talk about where they came from. It's kind of a mess. Quintessential examples of wilderness and all the dangers that come with it, the Centaur species was born after 𝐂𝐫𝐤𝐿, who has an interesting story of his own, slept with a Hera-shaped cloud. It's Greek mythology, just go with it. And the offspring of that, Centaurs, then mated with the mares on Mount 𝐂𝐫𝐤𝐿, which produced the Centaurs. The cloud, incidentally, later became a nymph, and 𝐂𝐫𝐤𝐿 was tied to a burning wheel forever. Anyway, the poet Pindar, in his second Pythian ode, describes how this species came into being. This basically gives the full story of their creation, showing how Zeus tricked 𝐂𝐫𝐤𝐿, and the son he had with the cloud nymph would go on to father a race of beings that more represented forces of nature than civilization. Remember I said they weren't like wise and intelligent elves? Yeah. Aside from Chiron, who, though rendered and described as a centaur, was immortal and actually had a completely different lineage, being the child of Cronus and 𝘂𝐿𝐴, they're usually portrayed as warlike and violent. There's a reason Pindar uses the word army. And the major episode that deals with them as a group is the so-called 𝘂𝐵𝐿𝐴, where, invited to a wedding feast, they became drunk on wine, attempted to carry off and rape the bride and other women, and engaged in open combat with the host. Centaurs were brutal, violent, and typically antagonistic, aside from Chiron, who, like I said, wasn't really a centaur. He just looked kind of like one. So, yeah, centaurs weren't just horse people, and they weren't particularly benign. They were wild and feared creatures engendered by a being who was neither honored by men nor by the laws of gods. Centaurs were something entirely separate, outside the bounds of human civilization, and dangerous because of it.
Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like and subscribe.